And we're live. Good afternoon, and welcome to another session of Ask Emirates MBD Live. This session, we're going to talk about cybersecurity because you know what it is. It's October, and October is recognized as the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And in 2019, like you saw us last year, you're going to see us again in the next couple of hours. I have here with me my colleagues from the cybersecurity team. My name is Richard Uhonga, and I'm just going to let my colleagues introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Yazid Khandaria.
Hi, I'm Amrut Sugan.
I'm Imtiaz Khan from Information Security Team.
So this session is about letting you know what is going on in cybersecurity. We were here 12 months ago, and we're here with you today. But before we go on, I'm sure you must have noticed that we released a very interesting video for cybersecurity awareness sometime in June. We'll just play that video right now, and we'll get back to you. Stay tuned.
Yo, man.
Hello?
Can you help me, man?
Sure. How can I help you?
My account just got wiped.
You must be joking.
I don't know how I let this happen.
By who?
Some guy pretending to be you, you know? Man, I don't know what to do.
It wasn't me.
Alright. A fellow email me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on the dubious link? All this time he was after my password and username.
How come you got the same access to your data? Hackers and the frost is always lying in the waiter. You better watch your back, don't fall for the beta. Let's review the situation that you're caught up in. To be a safe player, you have to know how to play. If you say a moment, don't give him time of day. Never listen to a word when they say. And if they claim that they're the bank, tell them no way.
But he sent me a reminder.
It wasn't me.
Messaged me on WhatsApp.
It wasn't me.
He even called me in the shower.
It wasn't me.
He told me I won the lottery.
It wasn't me.
He asked me for my password.
It wasn't me.
To verify my account number.
It wasn't me.
I even sent him a picture.
It wasn't me.
He dreamed my account and it was over. A fellow emailed me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on that dubious link? All this time he was after my password and username.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Yeah, so that was the It Wasn't Me video, which was rolled out in June. I'm sure a lot of you saw that video. We loved the video. I'm sure you loved it too. The dance steps, the message behind the video, the way the old guy kept saying it wasn't me, just in case he gets into court and anything he says against him can be used against him. I just want to ask you guys, what do you think was the response personally and professionally you got from when that video was launched? Yazid?
So I think a lot of my friends saw the video and they loved it. I think it's a very creative way of doing awareness, for a topic that's very hard to understand for many of our users. So I think we've got an amazing response from people even in the security community and people even outside the security community. And I think it's really good that they connect well with security now after seeing this video.
Yeah. Imtiaz, your folks back home, I'm sure they sent you that video a couple of times. You told me.
Yeah, look, I shared this with my friends and family back home, and they actually loved it. The words that came back was very catchy, very nice, nicely done.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I think we should be proud that we got an amazing response.
Yeah, I mean, we partnered with the Dubai police, and I'm sure in this region, this is like the first time any organization has released such a revolutionary video. We'll be doing more of this as time goes by because Emirates MBD pace setters, right? So we were here last year around this time, October, Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We're here again. Let's just quickly touch on where we are today. It's been 12 months since we sat in this session. What do you think has changed in the last 12 months? What do you think has stayed the same? What should the customers be aware of? What should our audience know from being aware of cybersecurity? The theme of this year's cybersecurity for Emirates MBD is protect your identity. So Yaza, what do you think?
So I think since we last met, we as Emirates MD have launched some very revolutionary services. Like we launched Alexa banking recently.
Yeah.
And even that involves, using your identity to for example, get your balance.
Yeah.
So I think it's important that customers realize that, they, whatever the channel they may be transacting on, they always are very, very careful about who they give out their passwords and their credentials to.
Yeah.
So online banking, mobile banking, of course, has been the same, and we're always upgrading it with a better experience. But I think as newer channels come out, like WhatsApp banking, Alexa banking, the same principle needs to be followed now with respect to protecting your identity online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imtiaz, what do you think? 12 months now?
Yeah, look, before I get into what has changed in the last 12 months, let me just talk a bit about what has not changed.
Okay.
So throughout human history, so ever since humans started exchanging messages and communicating, someone has tried to hack into those messages. Someone has tried to read into those messages.
Yeah.
The first recorded hacking of electronic communication was actually recorded back in 1903.
Wow.
Marconi's wireless telegraphy was actually hacked back in 1903 by a British inventor called Neville.
Oh, the British.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They don't like the Italians, apparently. So, look, and ever since we have seen an evolution as the mechanism and the mode of human communication and the way we exchange our messages, as this has transformed and as this has changed, we have seen an evolution of these hacking attempts, right? If we move on to 80s and 90s, we see that Pentagon used to, there would be attempts of hacking onto Pentagon using stolen credentials, usernames, passwords, guessing passwords. These things have not changed, right? They continue to be done even today, and in fact at a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Now, some of the things, before we get into what has changed, until recently, we used to say a few things. We used to observe certain patterns of attacks.
Yeah.
Right. What we would observe is, in line with the actual time zone of specific countries, attacks would initiate. So 9 o'clock, in line with certain countries, attacks would start. And between 12 to 2, you get a lull, people go on break, and 6 p.m.
When you say people, do you mean the attackers?
The attackers, yes.
Because attackers have to eat too, right?
That's right. They have to eat. They have to go for, your breaks, smoke breaks, and then around about 6 p.m. these attacks would start ceasing off.
Yeah.
Right? And this is what we used to see. Now what we're seeing is attacks happening via bots, right?
Bots, robots, right?
These are robots. These are automated computer robots, right? So to give you an example, in Q1 of this year, Facebook reported that about 2.2 billion fake accounts were created by bots.
Yeah.
This is, if you think about it, 2.2 billion, right?
Yeah.
So the scale and speed at which this is happening, which used to be a pretty manual and laborious process in the past, this is now getting automated.
Yeah.
Right? So these things are changing and these things are shifting. So guessing your passwords, attacking credentials, trying to guess passwords, these things are happening now. We're starting to see more of this happen at machine speed.
Yeah.
So this is a shift in paradigm.
Yeah. Amrit, do you want to add anything to things that are happening maybe in this region?
Yeah, well, I do, but first I want to make clear that I do have friends. You didn't ask me what did I think about the video. Maybe because you thought I don't have friends. I do have friends. But nevertheless, yes, jokes aside. So yeah, I am more on the eyes on glass kind of guy, and so I see all the dark stuff, right? Sure. And what we typically see is, still people falling victim to those fake SMSs that come through, and then they give out their information just because they think, okay, they need to update their Emirates ID in the bank records, and somebody is calling them to make it happen for them, right? Nobody will help you just like that, right? There has to be an ulterior motive to it.
Yeah.
And we need to be aware of these type of attacks. So, and the simplest form of attack is, why do you see those spelling mistakes in these fake messages that come through, or those fake emails that come through?
Well, I think it's coming from regions where English isn't the first language, or
You know, this was the case way back, but now attackers have grown smart, right?
Yep.
They purposely send these type of messages with mistakes in them because they don't want the smart people detecting this, because smart people will be like, yeah, you know what, I know this is fake leeway.
yeah, spelling mistake is a,
So
is a
the
telltale
people who
sign.
respond to such messages are the most gullible ones, right? And they know if somebody responds to this, I'm going to make my payday out of it,
Yeah.
right?
It lets them focus their efforts on
Absolutely, because even they have limited resources,
Yeah.
no matter what we think they do.
It's more targeted.
Yeah, so please don't be the low-hanging fruit if you see a message
Absolutely.
that's not written properly. So we're getting your questions. We'll answer those questions in a minute. But why don't we show you something, right? Let's show you a hacking demo. And let's just show you how easy or difficult it is, you pick, for you to get hacked from a simple message that comes from an email. All right? So Emirates is going to show you this demo, and we'll go to the screen right now.
All right, so just to set some context, on the right hand side we have the poor victims machine, and on the left hand side we have the attackers machine. You see it has a nice dragon logo.
Yeah.
So
If you watch movies, you know that it's always a black screen with some text. All right.
All right, so as you can see, you know, just to make it very obvious, this is an email that anybody would have got. It's a coupon which says, you know, you have 30% discount. We all love coupons. We all love discounts. We all love free food and free stuff.
Yeah.
So just to make it very obvious, we have kept it hacker, the email address. It won't be that obvious.
Yeah. To probably be the coupon express or coupon universe or something like that.
Maybe this even comes from a spoofed email coming from somebody you know. Right?
And woe betide you, it comes when you're hungry or lunchtime.
Absolutely.
Oh God.
So now it has a link. Let's see what happens when we click that link, right? So let's click on that link. Of course, the link is opening, but if you see on the left-hand side, the attacker sees some activity happening, right? This activity is nothing but a backdoor opening on the attacker's machine, just because we were so eager to click on one link, right? So let's see what can the attacker do once he gets such a backdoor. And
all you did was click on a link.
just one click, right?
All right.
I didn't move anything else on the poor victim's machine. So we'll just let this finish. While this finishes, I just want to make clear, we are trying to be brave here. We are trying to show you a live demo. So things technically tend to fail sometimes, but then nevertheless, we'll try and make sure that this works.
Okay.
So let's see. Let's see what can the attacker do, right?
By the way, clicking on a link is because, one, you didn't understand, or well, you probably don't know how to detect a fake email. So probably what we'll do after the hacking demo is look at the email again and see what are the things we could look at. Because I'm sure we can't say don't reply to every coupon email that you get, but there are certain things in that email that should have told you of that this is fake, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now, as you can see, you know, so the first thing the attacker wants to do is see what the poor victim is doing, right? So just with a simple command screenshot, I've got something. Let's see what this screenshot shows. So if I go and see what did I capture, as you can see, the attacker actually sees the victim's screen live, right? And just to show you, this is not staged. Let me close the screen on the victim's machine, so the victim might be working, right?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can do that again, and if it shows the correct screen again, right?
So how is it getting? Is it through the webcam? Is it through what? How is it getting the whole screen of the attacker?
This is the way. So these are scripts which have already run on the victim's machine without him knowing, just with a simple click. Let me show you again. So if I go back, I try and see what I got again. As you can see now, it's on this screen. So
it's a total replica of this.
Absolutely, and this could be a screen recording. It doesn't need to be a screenshot as I'm showing you. Now some people still, you know, they say, oh, you know what? Let him record my screen. When I type my password, that comes in * ***, right?
Yeah.
What the attacker can also do is look at all the keystrokes that are happening on the machine. So let's see if we can do that.
Yeah.
So
keystrokes, even if it's coming up as XXX or
yes, absolutely,
or whatever.
So just to show you, I'm going to now go into Notepad, test So this is what the poor victim was typing. He could be typing a sensitive email, his password, whatnot.
Yep.
Let's see if we can see, the attacker can see what
He has just typed.
Yes. As you can see, the attacker can actually see that the victim typed notepad, which I did. He pressed enter and then he typed test, right? So this is live. So now even your passwords can be captured by the attacker. But now the attacker can see your screen, can see what you type.
Yeah.
Can the attacker actually see you, right? So let me see.
Wait. Let's catch a breather first.
Yeah.
First, you can see my screen. You can know everything I'm typing on my laptop.
Absolutely.
And now you want to
I want
see
to
me.
see you, right? So let's see if we can do that. Say cheese.
Oh my God.
So as you can
Right.
see, this is the camera on the victim's machine, right?
Right.
And the attacker is actually watching the victim without the victim even knowing. So as you can see on the right hand side, the attacker is oblivious.
Yeah, the screen doesn't show anything.
Doesn't.
happening.
And see, the attacker could be working as normally as he would. And the victim, and the attacker is actually watching the victim without him knowing.
But does this victim at least get some pizza at the end of the day? Consolation.
Actually, that pizza actually goes to the attacker, by the way. So
Wow.
that's our demo.
Well, so I mean, the victim's identity is gone first of all, because wherever he's going to type his email or his username or password is gone for that day, or for how long the attacker keeps that session open.
Absolutely. So many a times what we think is, you know what, let me just reboot my machine and then, you know, I'm out.
Yeah.
But there are ways to persist this particular backdoor in a victim's machine.
Yeah.
So even after multiple reboots, till you don't actually format the machine, there is probably limited ways that you can catch this happening on your machine. And the only thing that the poor victim did was a mistake, was click on links which he shouldn't have.
Okay, some people say that if I have an antivirus on my system or an anti-malware paid version, how does this limit the risk, or does this protect me in any way at all?
Absolutely right. I think this is the question that everybody should be asking after watching this demo, is how do I protect myself, right? So use best practices. I think we have already stated all these in our previous sessions, but I'll just reiterate a few of them. Keep your machines patched. So you know those Windows update pop-ups that you get, or Mac updates pop-up that you get, these are critical.
Very important.
Have to get them done, because you use these machines to do banking. The second most critical one is make sure you have a good antivirus installed on your machine, right? So your typical day-to-day bad stuff will get caught. Of course, that doesn't mean there's no 100% security. There's no silver bullet. Otherwise, we guys would not be having a job, right? But so make sure you patch your machines. Make sure you have a good antivirus. There are some other technical stuff, but these two, for a normal customer, do not click on links and attachments in emails which you suspect even the least bit, right? Don't.
Okay, good. So that demo is really revealing. I'm sure a lot of us will have received similar emails like that. Be very careful before you click on it. It's not just the click, right? People think, oh, if I don't put in any username or password, every click matters, right?
Absolutely.
Be cyber aware. All right, let's go to some of the questions that have been asked from our social media platforms. First one here is, how safe is it to post information on my social media? What other ways, or what tips can you give to stay protected on social media? Yazad? Or how do I use social media in a more secure manner, right?
So I think the key here is the less you post, the more you are protected. Post responsibly. There are two kinds of posts you would normally refer to in this case. If you are posting about your organization, post very responsibly. So when your org is doing very well, yes, post. You know, your business posted great profits, post. But you know, if you're disgruntled or unhappy, it's not a good thing you should be posting on social media. So you should go back to your organizations and refer to their respective social media policies. If you're posting personally, I would say limit the information you're posting, because attackers are going to use that information against you. In security, we have a concept called a kill chain, which starts from reconnaissance, and results to an attack like the one that Amrut just showed you, right?
So reconnaissance is gaining information about you,
exactly,
where you are,
exactly,
what you're doing,
yes,
who you are, things like that.
So I would go onto your Insta posts. I would see which gym you're going to. I would see what your date of birth is. I would know what your cat's name is.
Who
I
you
know
like
where
a
you
lot.
hang out. I know who you like a lot. What you eat, what you don't eat. So I am actually mapping your profile.
Yeah.
And that is how I will send you an email like this,
Yeah.
which
Because
says coupon and
Pizza.
Pizza.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you're healthy, you're not eating pizza.
What do you?
You're probably on a
Healthy,
keto. You're probably on a keto diet. So I'll send you a pizza for a nice keto recipe or
Yeah.
a restaurant.
Yeah.
Or gym membership.
Yeah, or a gym membership. And obviously, when you will want to click on that when
Yeah.
you're more interested. So
Yeah, but this raises a question around who we are today. We are actually our social identity. Everything we do on the internet or we do online or social media actually is an extension of us. It actually extends our identity to our phones and to our social media. Another question that came related to that is, if I enable two-factor authentication on my social media or on my different platforms, am I relatively safer than someone who doesn't? By the way, two-factor authentication is having another form of authentication apart from passwords, so biometrics and so on and so forth. Imtiaz, you want to pick on that?
Yeah, sure. So two-factor authentication, like you pointed out, it's one of the security measures that you can use to protect yourself. In case your password has been stolen, then by all means, two-factor authentication will protect you
Yeah.
in certain situations, right?
Yeah.
But it will not protect you in all cases. The hack that Amrut just showed, if this was a sophisticated attack, the two-factor, the SMS second factor authentication code can also be relayed to the attacker. Right?
Yeah.
The attacker would be able to grab that information and make use and log in as that person and steal the credentials. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a fix for all. You still have to practice your hygiene around cybersecurity. You still need to make sure, like Amrut said, have your machines patched, have good antivirus, do not click on links,
Yeah.
and use two-factor authentication.
Yeah.
There is an emerging trend, a new type or an alternative to two-factor authentication. It's called a security key,
What's that? Oh, I thought you were
This
bringing
is-
out a gun.
no guns, mate. No guns. So this is a security key,
Yeah.
and this will allow you to log in, go passwordless, right? So this is something you plug into your machine, and you press a button or do a fingerprint, and this will allow you to go passwordless.
But this is for my machine. Is
That's
this
right.
for my social media platforms, for instance? Does this integrate with Facebook and?
Absolutely, absolutely. So more and more, so for example, Dropbox, Hotmail,
Yeah.
I believe even Google,
Yeah.
when you log in, they give you an opportunity. You will see an option, log in with a security key.
Yeah.
Right, so absolutely, this will give you an option. So this will limit the kind of phishing attack that you saw, where you redirected, let's say that, following on from Amrut's example, if I logged onto my Gmail,
Yeah.
my user ID and password for my Gmail account would be compromised.
Yeah.
But if I was using something like this,
Yeah.
then this would protect me against the compromise of my Gmail. Right, so there are different things you can do. It's not, two-factor is not.
It's not the be-all, end-all,
Be all
but it's
end
a
all.
good.
Yes.
Coming to Emirates MBD, we've implemented other authentication mechanisms besides two-factor. Can you speak a bit about SmartPass, Amrut?
Yeah, so SmartPass is our own version of the two-factor.
Yeah.
So what we have seen in the recent past is typically where we tend to send a SMS
OTP.
one-time password.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what OTP means. So OTP is one-time password.
Yeah.
So you get it on your mobile, then you type that. What we have seen is people give away that key. So that SMS that came, so like the example I gave before, let me register your Emirates ID for you in the bank because it's expired, your bank account will get closed. You are going to get an SMS right now. Give me the key that comes in that SMS. And people give it away. They don't even read this SMS was for adding a beneficiary, not for registering the Emirates
Yeah.
ID.
So they don't know that OTP is like a very secure number that you shouldn't share.
Absolutely.
Right.
Although it's mentioned in the SMS, by the way.
Okay.
But nevertheless, it's that urgency, right? So,
Yeah.
so what SmartPass does is, it does not send this out as a SMS. It's already pre-installed on the user's phone.
Yeah.
And we know that this is we have backend mechanisms to know that this is added, this smart pass belongs to this particular account for this particular user.
For this particular device.
And this particular device, and can't be installed on a secondary device till the user actually tries himself.
Yeah.
So it generates a code, and that's the code you would put, right?
Yeah.
That's the code you would put. So that just eliminates that risk of somebody just giving away that one-time password OTP
and that
to
channel
somebody else.
being attacked, like SIM swap attacks and things
Absolutely.
like that. Okay. Keep your questions coming. Very great questions here. Secure shopping online. How do I differentiate between a fake website and a real website while I'm shopping online? And is it safe to use Emirates NBD cards while shopping? Yazad?
So I think Amrut is a better person to answer this question since he's just shown the hacking demo. And the reason I would like him to answer is because it's a continuation of the demo he's shown. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Yes.
So let's touch on 2 points.
Yeah.
Using the cards online, and how do I differentiate what's real and what's fake?
So it's very simple. Actually, you see, well, in Internet Explorer, you would see a green bar. Actually, now in Chrome also, you see that green green light on the top left corner of the browser.
Just by the address bar.
Yeah, so I suggest go click on it,
Yeah.
right? And then once you click on it, you will see the site where you are at, trying to put your credit card number. Does that site match what pops up in the screen once you click on that green stuff on the browser, right? And if those two match, the site seems to be the real one. And it's pretty safe to type in your credit card number there.
Yeah.
Right? Also, the banks have become smarter also. They've put in two-factor, even if you put your credit card numbers.
Yeah.
Don't just put it just like that. But so then you get a secondary authentication, right?
Yeah.
Which is, it's called 3D secure.
Yeah.
So yes, even if my card detail is compromised, I still have that second factor, but I wouldn't want my card details to get compromised, right? So yes, so green, top left, click on it. If it matches the address bar, you are on a good site.
Yeah.
It's pretty safe to use your cards there.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cards, I think we have brand of cards for shopping, right? The web shopper cards.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's a good point, right? So now, even if my card is compromised, I have a card which is X amount.
Yeah.
Could be in tens of thousands.
Yeah.
We have these web shopper cards where you can preload them with a specific amount or load them with a specific amount as you please.
Yeah.
So say I'm now shopping for a new laptop, I will preload that card with 1,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
Of course through online banking,
Yeah.
and then just spend that 1,000, and even if that card details is compromised, there's zero balance on it.
Yeah.
So well, take what you can, the 0 dirhams that's there.
You have a lower risk.
So it's
using those
absolute. So it's
cards.
good to have those kind of cards for
Yeah.
online shopping
Yeah.
and online usage.
Good. More questions, and we have to take some of this from Maha LinkedIn. What is the maturity level of your current defenses? I think a similar question here is, how do you protect your customers from phishing as well? I think these are two similar questions.
Yeah.
How do you protect your customers from phishing, and what's your maturity level and the current defenses?
Right. So that's a very good question, right? So 1 billion, if my stats are correct, 1 million sites are registered almost every day.
Okay.
And what we do from a bank's perspective is, and any mature bank would do that, right?
Yeah.
Is look for such registrations that happen.
Yeah.
Identify if there are specific sites or domains which match what you have published, because those could be used in a phishing campaign or a spoofing campaign, or like you saw, right, hacker@xxx.com.
So just twisting the Emirates NBD to something like Emirates NBD or MNS. or
the
something
I
like
is missing.
The I is missing.
Or there are
right?
2 I's in it.
Yeah.
Or it's
But
login
there are
dash.
millions of permutations on the internet, right?
So can you believe we look at all those,
Wow.
and then we try and bring them down before they can be used to do a phishing attack and compromise a customer.
Yeah.
So we actually look at these registrations real time and try and take them down before they can be used for an attack.
But this is where I cut in here, because we can't be 100% because of the sheer number of email domains that can be created. So there has to be a responsibility on the customer himself to be able to identify what's real and what's fake, right?
So there's this time lag between the identification and takedown.
Yeah.
And between this time, it's called the dwell time, right? So
Yeah.
between this dwell time, if some attacker is so proactive that he's kept everything ready, registers, sends it out, by the time we are able to take it down, a few customers got compromised.
Yeah.
But then that's the reason why we are doing this awareness sessions, right?
Exactly.
So that
Exactly.
the customers don't tend to click on such links.
Yeah. Yeah. So please, again, reiteration. If you see an email from Emirates MBD, we won't ask you for your CVV, we won't ask you for your credit card numbers, we won't ask you for any personal information. If it's coming from a malicious hacker, he will ask you. So the bank will never ask. That's the first rule of thumb. Second rule of thumb, always look at where the email address is coming from. It may look like Emirates MBD, feel like Emirates MBD, but it definitely isn't Emirates MBD.
Wasn't me.
All right, Sajid from Facebook, one question here. Is there any threat when we're using Emirates MBD mobile app in a different network? I'm thinking he's talking about public Wi-Fi or something, right? Yazad, I think.
So I think I think the customer experience is very important for Emirates MBD, right? So
Yep.
We work very hard day in day out to ensure that the mobile apps we build are extremely secure.
Yeah, with best practice standards.
Yes, and they have a very good balance of security and functionality built in,
Yeah.
right? So, well, technically, on any network that you are on, you should be able to use your Emirates MBD mobile app because we believe that the app is designed from the ground up very well, very secure. So you could even connect to a hotspot of your friend's cell phone and use it. And obviously, when you are traveling and you don't have a data package, you would, for example, on your vacation, connect to a hotel Wi-Fi network and still use the app.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Do you think that when people are traveling, they are subjected to more risk than when they're in the UAE, for instance? What do you think people who are traveling should look out for when either doing transactions or using mobile apps as part of their trip?
So I think it's important to understand that we understand that customer experience is important in terms of travel.
Yeah.
Because when you're outside, you might not be enabling your roaming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. True.
So obviously the most secure way to transact would be via roaming, because it's on a cell phone network. The minute you connect to public Wi-Fi networks for doing any kind of transaction, there is some risk, right?
Yeah.
But with the mobile apps we build, we are pretty confident that those risks are mitigated to a good level. What I would say is that when you're traveling,
Yeah.
you should keep a very close eye on your transaction history.
Yeah.
Because in the event that, let's say, you swiped your card somewhere and for some reason your card was compromised,
Yeah.
right? And somebody else used it for nefarious purposes, right? Then you should at least try and catch it as early as possible.
Yeah,
right?
because you may not have SMS,
Yes.
and you probably not checking your emails
Yes,
or
correct.
something. Yeah.
Right. So you should just log in quickly and check your transaction history if possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when you come back, you should raise a complaint with your respective organization to see
Yeah.
what's happening.
I read this very interesting article today. It's on vice.com.
Yeah.
So DEF CON is the hacker conference that happens in Vegas.
Yeah.
And one of the guys actually released a cable. So just adding on to this traveling. We typically tend to borrow somebody's cable, right?
Yeah.
So today on vice.com, this cable that they built can actually, so once you take it from somebody, you connect it to your connect it to your phone. That cable can be used to do a data transfer from your phone to somebody sitting quite next to you or somebody who's actually given you that cable, and this is going to get mass produced.
All right, so let me get this straight. I asked for a cable to charge my phone, right? I take that cable from you, I plug it into any charging port. It
has a small built-in Wi-Fi, just to get a bit technical.
Yeah.
It has a small built-in Wi-Fi, which now somebody who's next to you or the guy who's given you that is now accessing, and then because it's connected to your phone also, he can actually extract data from your phone.
Yeah, I think when I travel, I think the most important accessory I take is my charger.
Yeah.
I never borrow chargers or.
Where did you buy it from?
Yeah, or leave my chargers anywhere because I'm not gonna fall for that. Let's take this very interesting question here from Mansoor on Facebook. If the credit card details are attached to some online service, for instance Netflix and so on, and that online service is compromised, how can we detach our credit card details from that account? Yaza, you want to talk about that? I think the detaching is straightforward, but I think what are the recursive effects after that, right?
So I think typically in the case of services you have subscribed to, like Netflix, or let's say even LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
you are required to give your credit card number. And
Yeah.
of course, after a specific trial period, when it ends, it starts charging your card.
Yeah.
Right? So the detachment part happens at the level where you have begun your subscription.
Yeah.
Because you have to go there and say unsubscribe. That is obviously the smartest way to detach your card.
Yeah.
Right?
But what if you're still on the service, right? If
Okay.
I can only unsubscribe when I no longer want to do the trial or I'm no longer interested in that service. But
That's
if
correct.
I'm going to be watching Netflix every day and
Yeah, so I mean that's a risk you're taking with subscribing your card, which is why services like the web shopper card
yeah, I'm more
are maybe a smarter way of
Yeah.
trying to use your card on online websites.
Yeah.
So that in the rare or unfortunate event something bad happens,
Yeah.
at least the impact is minimized
Yeah.
to only amounts that, let's say, are close to $100.
Yeah.
Right, for example.
which you put in that web shopper card.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So man, so just to answer your question again, if you're going to associate your credit card or a card to any online service, you should probably use a low risk card like the web shopper card. So if that service is hacked or breached, you know that it's just for you to replace the card and it doesn't really impact you that much, right? We have a question here on passwords. An average person has probably 20, 50 passwords. I don't know how many this person has. What is the best way to secure your password, and what kind of tips can you give to create stronger passwords that can be hacked? I think Imtiaz, identity guy. Let's see what you have.
Sure, Richard. So the rule of thumb for your passwords would be use strong passwords, right? So what would you classify strong passwords as? So something that has a minimum of 8 characters, something that has a combination of alphabets, special characters, numbers.
Yeah.
Also, importantly, you have to make sure that your passwords are easy to remember but hard to guess by others. What do I mean by that? What I mean is you should not have your passwords as your name or your partner's name or your city or your date of
cat name.
birth.
Yeah.
These are called easily guessable passwords, right? So it should be easy to remember but hard to guess.
Yeah.
So that's rule of thumb as far as your passwords are concerned. Now, in terms of remembering your passwords, like you said, an average user has loads of passwords to remember. There are tools out there, right? So I touched on the YubiKey, or the not promoting any brands here, but the security key that we talked about, where you can go passwordless on the platforms that actually support this new feature. Right? You can also look at your password software.
Password managers.
Password managers, right? So these are LastPass, not promoting any brands again, but KeePass, LastPass. These are, some of these are they're really good software password managers.
But we should also say we should not fully rely on those, because again, the responsibility is on us to stay secure. So our passwords on those password managers should also be secure passwords.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So the message here is, like, you can use all these tools, you can use all the technology, but end of the day, you have to have responsibility for your actions. You have to be cognizant of what you're doing and how you how you're doing it.
Okay, good. There's a question from LinkedIn. I don't think this is an awareness question. This is probably somebody in the security field. Is there a way to govern security controls embedded in the system? Govern. Amrut, what do you think is asking?
I think
here?
this is our guys' domain.
Yeah, security architecture and engineering.
So I think the question's very fair. Once you design a system, it is similar to you buying an air conditioner or a heater or a microwave in your house.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You have to perform something called preventive maintenance.
Yeah.
Right. So the way to govern security controls embedded in any system is to perform maintenance of that system. And how we translate that in the security world is we try and test all our systems regularly to ensure that the original level of control that we had built in still remains or can be improved, right?
Yeah.
But in no way should it degrade.
Yeah.
Right?
So we continue to test those controls on a regular basis. I mean, we have different levels of controls, audit the controls, assess the controls. And we are governed by many standards as well, regulatory standards that ensure that these controls stay at their optimum.
Right.
One other question here, data privacy. We keep hearing about GDPR data privacy. What ways have Emirates MBD, or what way has Emirates MBD assumed to keep data of the customers private or to keep data secure, I guess.
Right.
I think yes.
So I mean, it's really like Amrut and Imtiaz said, right? We also start every security practice of ours with the basics. Right?
Yeah.
You have to do your hygiene checks, your basics, right?
Yeah.
And we follow a concept in security called defense in depth, right? Which we also call as DID. So defense in depth, in layman's language, is you try and make it extremely hard for an attacker to get to your data, right? And you build layers of defense to ensure that it's really hard. So think of a real life scenario in your own life, where you have one lock on your door, and then I have to first break that lock to enter your house, and assume that you also have a lock on your bedroom door. I have to break that again to get into your room,
and I have a safe.
And then you have a safe inside your house, which I again have to break to get to your actual money, or your bonds,
or your crown
or your
jewels.
Emirates credit cards that are in that safe, right? So privacy and security are very, very closely related, right? You can't have privacy without proper security, basically, right? So data privacy is extremely important to us, right? And customer information is extremely important to us. And we use defense in depth controls to basically ensure that we secure that adequately.
And I mean, we're in regions that have various privacy laws in the UK, Singapore, and our operations, at the day-to-day of our operations, the customer's privacy is at the heart of how we design our processes and our technology.
That's correct.
Very good question here from Ahmed Kabir on LinkedIn. Is it safe using payment wallets, for example, Apple Pay or Samsung Pay? Amrut, let's...
So these are responsible organizations, right? Even they go through all those security governance controls, assessments, testing.
Very regulated industry.
Absolutely, and and when you save your cards there, of course, I would still suggest save your web shopper card rather than your actual card on, or your debit card on those. So that just. Right. I mean, if something does happen
for
in
whatever
the
reason,
unforeseen circumstance, your risk is still limited to that amount which you probably would have preloaded on that card, right? So it's always good to have a preloaded card which you use for all these online purposes. Right. So but these apps are good. I use them myself. And
I mean, the touch and go is just absolutely convenient.
Brilliant. Right? And we have that in our app too. I mean, you could use our app also.
On Emirates MBD Pay.
Absolutely.
We have touch and go.
An analogy of this, the example Amrut gave, I'd like to add is Yuzad's example. You break the door of the house, the bedroom, you break the safe, but you're not actually going to keep all the money you have in your safe, right? You're going to keep some money. Right? Most of your money would be securely kept in a bank, hopefully Emirates NBD.
Okay.
Actually this question is so good, it actually touches upon those RFID wallets that you get now. So now your physical card actually has a RFID chip, right? So you could just tap and go. Now, actually carrying that is much more riskier than actually having this card embedded in your Samsung Pay, Apple Pay, Emirates NBD Pay, right?
But my NFC on my phone.
But see, the beauty of these apps is because they're so highly regulated, they designed this ground up. It does not activate the NFC of the card till you actually go in, put a pin or put your thumbprint or your fingerprint. Only then does the card start gets activated, right? To be used at some terminal. Whereas your actual card
it's
with
always on.
So I'm sure you guys have seen that video, right? Wherein somebody's just standing there,
they takes the POS,
and then they go take the POS machine because now the POS machines are GPRS. They go just tap it behind, and there you have a transaction.
Do we have a limit on our Emirates NBD cards or Apple Pay cards for transactions?
You can set them. Yes,
you can set them.
You can set those limits online. For at least your Emirates NBD, I don't know about the rest, but for your Emirates NBD, yes, you can limit your exposure to a certain amount.
Okay. Good. Again, data protection question. Ian Mugisha, how do we separate the roles of client, regulator, and service provider in relation to data protection? Okay, so I'm in regulatory, so I think I'll answer this. See, the simple fact is this: we have separate roles for each of these responsibilities for each of these roles. You, the client, or we, the bank, as the service provider and the regulator, is very clearly stated in many of the standards and regulations. So if you look at the GDPR, it states what exactly are the responsibilities of you as an organization in protecting card data or protecting personal information or PII data. The regulator also has a role to play when there's a breach or when there's a near breach. What are the mechanisms that are invoked when there's a breach on customer data? You as the client as well, which is the customer, also has a role to play, because if you found wanting, for instance, you're the one who clicked on the link that led to a breach, there are certain mechanisms that have to be followed through either forensic investigations, and this is very clearly stated in all these regulations. So if you want to know more about these regulations and more around what are the roles and responsibilities of each of these parties, many of the regulators clearly state this, right? Right, so we've answered a couple of questions. We're still going to come to some questions, but if you just joined us, this is the Ask Emirates MBD live session for cybersecurity. This is a Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We do this every year, celebrated across the world to promote cybersecurity culture. And I think Emirates MBD has been inducted into the champion organizations. These are organizations that promote cybersecurity across the world. So if you go to the staysafeonline.org and you go to champions, you'll see Emirates MBD Group as one of the organizations that promote cybersecurity, not just internally for our employees, but also for our customers as well. All right, so we have one more technical question. I know we're getting technical questions from some guys. How have we implemented AI, blockchain, and other technologies in our processes or as part of our technologies? Yes, sir?
Yes, sir.
If we have, I know because people hear AI, blockchain, Bitcoin.
Yes, so we are using blockchain internally for Emirates MBD and Emirates Islamic, and what we did, like any other assessments that we do for all our technologies, we started to design the entire solution securely from the ground up, right?
Okay.
And we understand that yes, blockchain is new to a lot of customers, but you know, it is an extremely important innovation idea that a lot of other government organizations in the UAE and also banks are looking at, right? So it is beneficial for specific use cases which can help customers. So the answer to the question is yes, we have implemented blockchain. There are many good customer use cases where blockchain is used, because what it helps do is to reduce the time it takes for a customer to perform a specific transaction for a specific use case, right? And that is where the blockchain really helps.
Yeah.
And of course, because the blockchain also is written in, because the blockchain also uses a combination of infrastructure components like servers and software, which is code, right? You have to approach any implementation for a blockchain in the same way, using the same basic principles, right? That you would use for any other assessments. Right? Yeah.
Good. All right, so we're coming to the end of this session. I'm just going to give each of you like a minute. Just give us all the general tips that you have that we haven't mentioned, or we can reiterate to our viewers out there to protect their identity. I mean, it's Cybersecurity Month. Our theme is protect your identity. So we have to, give them some giveaways on what are the top 3 tips you think they should take away in today's world as they use their phones, be on the internet, social media, whatever it is. I'll start with you, Amrut.
Okay. So, I'll pick something which is used now, most widely used, right? People don't tend to use laptops anymore, desktops anymore. They use their mobiles for everything. So, mobile tip, do not install any apps apart from the App Store, right? So, if you get a SMS stating, click on this link, install this app, do not do it till it's not listed either on the Google Play Store or on the Apple Store, because they at least have some sort of validations to make sure that these apps are not malicious, and you have a verified tip there, tick mark there to show that yes, the Play Store itself has actually validated this app and it's a genuine one, especially talking about Emirates NBD app, where you can see that it's a verified app.
Okay. Imtiaz?
Yeah, look, just extending upon what Amrut just said, your digital identity is an extension of yourself, and your phone is an extension of this digital identity.
Yeah.
So it's very important that you have to be cognizant of the fact of, when you do Google searches, what's actually happening to that data.
Yeah.
When you watch YouTube videos, I'm sure plenty of us do
Yeah.
on your mobile phones, right? I'm sure most of us use Google Maps,
Yeah.
right? All this data about your identity, where you are, what you're doing, what you're searching, this gets stored somewhere. I'm just giving a few examples here, right?
Yeah.
So for example, in this particular case, Google gives you an option. If you go to myactivity.google.com,
Yeah.
you can go in and you can choose what you want to do with this data,
Yeah.
right? Do you want people, third-party applications, to know where you were, what your location history has been,
Yeah.
right? You may choose to deny a particular third-party application.
But at least you have the choice today.
You have the choice, right?
Yeah.
You have the choice to be able to do that. So you have to be cognizant
Yeah.
of the fact that all this data, your whereabouts, where you're going, what you're looking at, this gets recorded and stored somewhere.
Yeah.
Like you can go in and choose to have your YouTube history automatically deleted, as
Yeah.
an example, right?
Yeah.
So these are very critical things that you have to, and this is one example. So if, like Amrut said, the applications that are on your phone,
Yeah.
they could be capturing other things.
Yeah.
The big organizations, the good organizations like Google, etc., give you this this option
Yeah.
where you can go in and disable stuff and delete stuff.
Yeah.
But you have to be very cognizant of other applications,
Yeah.
what they're doing, and what is being recorded of your digital persona.
Yeah, and it's important because the new OSs that are released by mobile companies today, like the Android and iOS, privacy is a key differentiator, right?
That's right.
So now you can go into in the new Android, for instance, you can go to each application and say allowed to see location, allowed only when
Exactly.
the application is on. Because
Exactly.
you don't want these applications taking your information and
Exactly.
selling it to third parties or whatever. It's
Exactly.
important that we have this choice in our hands today.
That's right.
So go to your mobile phone today, go to your mobile apps, and go to each one of the applications you have on your phone and check what is this application having access to, right? And turn it off or turn it on as you please. All right, we'll end with Yazad.
So I have 3 very useful tips that I would like to share. First and foremost, when you go back home today, please ensure you turn on two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication for all your LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram
Yeah.
accounts,
Hotmail,
Twitter accounts.
Gmail.
Yes, immediately. You can either download Google Authenticator, or you can download Microsoft Authenticator, or use the key that Imtiaz mentioned, or even the most basic one is, enable the SMS OTP to log in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The second one that I feel is very important is you have to monitor what your children are viewing on channels like YouTube,
Yeah.
because that's extremely important. YouTube searches are not always perfect,
Yeah.
Great.
right? So please ensure that you track and look at what your child is seeing
Yeah.
on social media. Facebook is a very popular platform for cyberbullying.
Yeah.
So you also have to always take your child into confidence and tell them, and let them know that they have to be very responsible when they're using platforms.
Yeah. Yeah.
And finally, based on Amrut's demo, please turn off your cameras on your laptop
Or have a webcam cover.
when you're not using them,
Yeah.
or use a webcam cover. Because yes, even after the attacker has stolen your passwords, let's limit the damage by not letting him see what exactly you are doing.
In your private time.
In your
in
private time.
Exactly, yeah. So those are my 3 useful tips. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. We've come to the end of this session. We thank all of you for joining and viewing from all the different platforms. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We got all questions from all these different platforms. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we wish you a very blissful October Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.